Well, in honor of my first fire of the season, how about a video for more reasons why we should just burn the whole fucking thing down? Which could be very appropriate, because I have not cleaned my chimney yet, and this may also be my last fire of the season. Cop City. This proposed militarized police training facility in Atlanta, Georgia has been in and out of the news for quite some time. And it's kind of been on the media back burner for a little while, but a little over a week ago it came out that the cops who murdered a protester of Cop City will face no charges, which is really shocking. A little bit of a backstory. In 2021, the city of Atlanta is like, hey, we got a good idea. You know how police brutality and disproportionate violence against people of color has been a major hot button topic recently? We should level an 85-acre urban forest in the middle of one of the biggest African-American communities in the entire country, and we should spend $90 million of the taxpayers' money to build an urban combat training facility for the police. Now, does this community have pressing needs like lead contamination and the drinking water, poverty, homelessness? Sure, but I don't think anybody can argue that an urban warfare training center dedicated to training peaked in high school bullies who fear for their life every time they see a teacup poodle be better at unaliving the citizens they are legally not obligated to serve and protect is the absolute best possible use of $90 million and 85 acres of urban green space. To say that there's been some opposition to this would be a bit of an understatement. There's been environmentalist opposition because cutting down 85 acres of trees and natural habitat in a world that is literally burning to build a LARPing facility for cops to cosplay as Navy SEALs seems maybe slightly inappropriate. There's civil rights opposition to this for, the kind of apparent reasons. And then there's just basic community opposition to this. Because what would you rather live next to? A bunch of trees? Or a glorified airsoft facility where Barney Fife is getting Black Hawked in to play live action Call of Duty? Because plans for this facility do include a Black Hawk landing pad. And on top of all that, as brown shirt as these southern states seem to be getting, with North Carolina's GovOps secret police, Ron DeSantis' shitty paramilitary force, I don't think it's that much of a stretch for anybody to be a little concerned with an SS training facility in the middle of the town Sherman burned down. Basically, this is just really unpopular with anybody who doesn't find themselves terrified of a child with a squirt gun. And the community at large has made it very clear that they do not want this. There have been mass protests, there's been a ton of legal challenges, there's even a petition that would force a ballot initiative that would allow the people to directly vote on whether or not they wanted to approve this project. And that petition needed like 57,000 signatures to get approved to get this put on a ballot initiative. They got 116,000. There's more signatures on this petition than there was people who voted for the mayor of Atlanta. And the city's ignoring it. The city council, the mayor, they are trying to shove this through. They're requiring an individual verification of every single signature to try to slow the whole thing down. And while they're doing that, they're just trying to push construction ahead in the process. And then in January, cops tried removing an environmental protester who was camped out on the site where this is supposed to be built. Their removal efforts included shooting the protester 57 times. The police, of course, claim that after using less than lethal methods to remove him, he fired on them first, giving them no other option than to shoot him 57 times. Their story of self-defense was easily verified by their body cameras, or would have been, had they been wearing any. And after 8 months of investigating themselves, they found that they did nothing wrong. And therefore, they decided that they did not need to charge themselves with a crime. Which, despite the fact that an independent autopsy says that the protester was sitting cross-legged with his arms in the air when he was shot, and there was no gunpowder residue on his hands suggesting he had fired a weapon, and there was recorded radio chatter in the background that you could hear the victim yelling, "You fucked up your own man," suggesting that the cops accidentally shot themselves, because they do that sometimes. The results of their investigation seem perfectly reasonable, and I can see absolutely no reason that there should be a trial to determine whether or not they were guilty of a crime. That's basically where we are with this story currently. This is still going back and forth in the courts. The petition is kind of in limbo, and it's absolutely important to note that this is a travesty and failure of Democratic leadership in the area. There's a Democratic mayor, a state senator, congressperson, city council members. These are elected Democrats who are not only ignoring the will of their constituents, but actively working against it. Not to mention, police reform and addressing police brutality and judicial reform in general is a pretty decent sized part of the party platform right now that they are completely ignoring and going against. So these people need to be held accountable, which is incredibly hard to do in a two-party system, but hopefully in the upcoming local and state elections, there will be some more progressive candidates who are actually interested in representing the will of the people and serving their constituents, and oust the people who obviously have ulterior motives that do not include the will of the people who voted them into office. In the meantime, we should absolutely be supporting the activists and the protesters and the voters. Because regardless of what your opinion is on legal and law enforcement reform, your opinion should always be that the will of the people in the community about what is happening in their community should always be respected. Unless, of course, it's oppressing marginalized groups, then fuck yeah.